join this morning?
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. And all the glories to the assembled devotees. This is Manjri Leela Devidasi from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Manjari Leela Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and chanting so beautifully. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. This is Kamandaki Dasi from Baltimore. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj and all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Komadiki Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining every day and blessing all of us with your sweet association. And you play for us Srila Prabhupada's chanting, and you also chant very beautifully, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. This is Sangeeta Yadav from India. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Sangeeta Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining today and giving your association. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Rani.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and blessing all of us with your sweet association. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, Srila Prabhupada, Jai Guru Maharaj Ki Jai. This is Srimad Devidasi from Sharada.
Hare Krishna, Shamagauri Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your association, and all glories to your services for Srimad Bhagavatam call, Mataji. Welcome, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all the assembled devotees on the call. This is Anita Ramya from Sharjah.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining every day, and all glories to your wonderful services to Bhakti Sangha group. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Guru Maharaj Ki Jai, Priti Dasi from Sharjah.
Hare Krishna, Priti Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. We are missing your association every day, Mataji, and you're not coming first and announcing your name first, Mataji. We are missing that, your name to be announced first. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, anybody would like to introduce themselves, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances, Jai Srila Prabhupada. This is Priti Devidasi from Atlanta.
Hare Krishna, Priti Vilasni Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your association, and all glories to your wonderful services to the group, Mataji. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Anybody would like to introduce themselves? We have 2 more minutes to go. Okay. Okay, then we will do the introduction of Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dhanavad Pranam Mataji, all.
Hare Krishna, Jyoti Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining from India and giving your association. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna and Dhanavad Pranam to all of you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Keshavanand Prabhuji to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 1st chapter, 38 to 43 verses. So, before I hand over the call to Prabhuji, I request Balabhadra Kripa Prabhu to take over from here and give a brief introduction of today's speaker, His Grace Keshavanand Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam to you. and all assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Shri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you, Mataji. So this is a very brief introduction for our dear speaker today, His Grace Keshavanand Prabhuji. Prabhuji was a professional doctor for many years, and now he is a practicing monk. Since the last 20 years, he has conducted extensive research and authored books in the field of science and spirituality. He feels the rift between science and spirituality must disappear to bring peace in the world. If spirituality is a superstition and a myth, science is materialistic and atheistic. A new approach to life is needed today that can bring the best of both. Science must be re-embraced spiritually and be humble to admit its defects, flaws, ignorance, and spirituality must base on sound, scientific, and rational ideas. Prabhu has studied both Vedic and Western philosophy. Besides learning Sanskrit, he also learned Bengali, Gujarati, Marathi, and Kannada to know about other traditions. His persistent endeavor in the field of science and spirituality has enabled him to come up with seminars on diverse topics like science and the Vedas, mind and machines. Science fails to explain life, consciousness, and beyond, etc., that he has presented in various colleges in India, Europe, and America. Under the guidance of his spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj, he has also started a Gurukul, a traditional system of Vedic education in Punjab, India, where children learn the ancient Vedic culture and values. Besides, he has started a farm community. The community has a traditional way of living and mud huts and thatch roofs, with cows and of course farming. The communities will set a model for the world to show how to live a life based on the principle of simple living, high thinking. Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Very well, very nice. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for that introduction. Hare Krishna, Keshavanand Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining and giving your valuable time and association this morning and enlightening us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. I now hand over the call to you, Prabhu. We can't see you, Prabhuji.
Mataji, can you please read the verses?
Yes, Prabhu,
somebody,
we
please.
can do that. Yeah, we can. Her Grace Preeti Vilasni Mataji is going to read for us. Mataji, please take over, Mataji.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Canto 7, Chapter 1, verse number 38. We are reading 38 to 43. Ashpan kupita evam yuvam vasam nacharhataha Rajastamobhyam rahite padamule madhutvisha Papishtamasurim yonim balishu yatamashvata. Translation. Thus checked by the doorkeepers Jaya and Vijaya, Sanandana and other great sages very angrily cursed them. You two foolish doorkeepers, they said, being agitated by the material qualities of passion and ignorance, you are unfit to live at the shelter of Madhudvisha's lotus feet, which are free from such moods. It would be better for you to go immediately to the material world and take your birth in a family of most sinful asuras. Text 39. Evam shaktau svabhavanat patantau tau kripalu proktau punar janma dhirvam trivilokaya kalpatam. Translation. While Jaya and Vijaya, thus cursed by the sages, were falling to the material world, they were addressed as follows by the same sages who were very kind to them. O doorkeepers, after 3 births, you will be able to return to your position in Vaikuntha, for then the duration of the curse will have ended. Jatnyate taudite दैत्यदानववन्दितौ हिरण्यकशिपूर्चिष्टो हिरण्याक्षो अनुजस्ततः. Translation: These two associates of the Lord, Jaya and Vijaya, later descended to the material world, taking birth as the two sons of Diti, Hiranyakashipu being the elder and Hiranyaksha the younger. They were very much respected by the Daityas and Danavas, who are the demoniac species. 41. Hato Hiranyakashipur Harina Simharupina Hiranyaksho Darodhare Bhipartash Saukaram Vapuhu. Translation: Appearing as Nrsimhadeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Hari killed Hiranyakashipu. When Lord delivered the planet Earth, which had fallen in the Garbhodak ocean, Hiranyaksha tried to hinder him. And then the Lord as Varaha killed Hiranyaksha. Hiranyakashipuhu putram prahladam Keshavapriyam Jighamsur Akrunana Yatana Mrityu Hetave. Translation: Desiring to kill his son Prahlad, who was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, Hiranyakashipu tortured him in many ways. Last verse for today, verse number 43. Tam sarva bhutatma bhutam prashantam samadarshanam bhagavat tejasa sprishtam nashaknodantum udyamai. Translation: The Lord, the super soul of all living entities, is sober, peaceful, and equal to everyone. Since the great devotee Prahlad was protected by the Lord's potency, Hiranyakashipu was unable to kill him in spite of endeavoring to do so in various ways. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada Ki Jai. In this verse, the word Sarva Bhutatma Bhutam is very significant. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. The Lord is equally situated in the core of everyone's heart. Thus, he cannot be envious of anyone or friendly to anyone. For him, everyone is the same. Although he is sometimes seen to punish someone, this is exactly like a father's punishing his child for the child's welfare. The Supreme Lord's punishment is also a manifestation of the Lord's equality. Therefore, the Lord is described as Prashantam Samadarshanam. Although the Lord has to execute his will properly, he is equipoised in all circumstances. He is equally disposed towards everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Okay.
Prabhuji Mataji, for reading. Yeah, please take over, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'll just begin now. Yeah. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharya Visheshu Navadi Paschaleshta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pradhananda Shri Vedhar Vashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. So we are discussing these verses. These are 7th canto, 1st chapter, 38 to 43rd verse. These are nice verses, and there are few important points of discussion in these verses here. The first, the text 38 says, Ashapan kupita evam yuvam vasam nachar arhata. Actually, this 4 Kumaras, they cursed Jai and Vijay. And the idea was why they cursed them. So this verse speaks about that. Why these 4 Kumars, Sanat, Sanatan, Sanan, four sons of Brahma, they went to Vaikuntha, and these Jai Vijay gatekeepers, they stopped them and they cursed them. So why they cursed? Their logic from their side is that Yubam Vasam Nacharhata, that you are not qualified to live in Vaikuntha. Because they said Rajotamo Bhyam, because they said that you are infested by passion and ignorance, and in Vaikuntha there is no passion and ignorance. That's their logic. That's the logic to curse them. The two gatekeepers, Jain Vijay, they stopped four Kumaras just because they were children naked. They were naked children trying to enter Vaikuntha. Jai Vijay, first of all, they thought in their mind, these are a few naked children, they're trying to enter Vaikuntha, and Lakshmi and Vishnu, they are resting. So they stopped them without asking anything. They first tried to stop them. So that's why four Kumaras said, well, this is not a proper etiquette. Should have asked us why we are trying to enter Vaikuntha, why we have come to Vaikuntha, and then you should try to stop us. It's not just you follow your you follow your impulses of your mind, and you try to stop us without properly informing us why you're stopping us, and this and that. And that's where they come to conclusion that these two gatekeepers are very haste, and they don't have their mental control, and that's why out of the impulses they stopped us, and they are infested by ignorance and passion, and so therefore they are not fit to stay. Arhata means in Sanskrit deserve. This word arhata, which comes in verse 38, it is a very common word, arhati. This word is again and again used in the works of Goswamis to indicate adhikar. Adhikar means eligibility or qualification. What is a qualification or eligibility to stay in Vaikuntha? What is a qualification or eligibility to actually stay in the spiritual world? So again and again, what is a qualification, eligibility to do devotion? Again and again, this word is used, arhata. Here the word used is arhata. So the idea here, this question comes, what is the qualification to stay in Vaikuntha? That's the idea this verse is trying to tell us. And the qualification to stay in Vaikuntha is, of course, you should have love of God. But the four Kumaras saying, well, fine, you are in Vaikuntha and you are gatekeepers of the Lord, so definitely you might have got love of God. Otherwise, what you're doing in spiritual world. But because you are contaminated by passion and ignorance, that's why you're not fit to stay in Vaikuntha. What this indicates? This indicates that the real qualification to stay in Vaikuntha is to be free of modes of nature. Otherwise, we can't stay in Vaikuntha. That's impossible. And another message is, we might have love of God, but at the same time, we might be infested with modes of material nature. Now, you might ask how this is possible. We have love of God, at the same time, we might be infested with modes of material nature. Yeah, definitely. Sahijas are like that. Sahijas claim that they have love of God, and they show all the symptoms of love of God. But in their hearts, they are infested by three modes of material nature: passion, ignorance. And that is why Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says in Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada quotes Vishwanath Thakur. Srila Prabhupada quotes that these Sahijas who actually exhibit love of God in their life, but their hearts, because their hearts are like steel framed, that's what he uses this word. The heart is hard due to modes of material nature. That is why Krishna doesn't accept them. So what about Jai Vijay? In spiritual world, they are in spiritual world. So they are in spiritual world, they should have love of God in their hearts, of course. Otherwise, what they are doing there? But at the same time, they are infected by passion and ignorance. So how do you understand this? This is a big debatable question, in spiritual world, can Maya affect you? That's the whole point there. Because in spiritual world, there's no Maya, there's no illusion. Vaikuntha is beyond Maya. But then here, Kumaras are saying, well, you are infected by Maya. All they are in spiritual words. So how does it go? Well, this question, if you really want to answer to this question, it's almost impossible to answer this question, whether there is Maya in spiritual world or not. It is not there. But one devotee, I think they wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, yeah, spiritual world is free of all illusory energy of Lord. Spiritual, that's why it's called spiritual. But material world is called material world because here we have Maya. And spiritual world, we don't have Maya, we have Yog Maya. We have a different type of energy, which makes devotees in Vaikuntha remember Krishna. Here we have Maya, or Mahamaya, which actually makes which makes living entities forget Krishna. So then how come we have Maya in spiritual world? Srila Prabhupada answered this. Prabhupada said, even in spiritual world, of course, there's no Maya, and nobody can fall down from spiritual world. But nobody falls down from spiritual world, but there's a possibility of falling down. But nobody falls down because of free will. Because living entities always have free will. And so somebody asked about gopis. Can gopis fall down? Prabhupada said, gopis can fall down, but they do not fall down. That was an answer. So what do you understand by that? The understanding is, of course, living entities have free will to choose Krishna. Even here or even in spiritual world, we are not dead objects. But in spiritual world, they don't misuse their free will. That's the whole idea. Because there is no Maya there. Here, people misuse their free will, and that's why they are attracted towards Maya. So what about Jai Vijay? Jai Vijay are affected by Maya? Well, there's no Maya. Then why they are saying Rajotamo Bhyam and Vaikuntha is free of Vaikuntha is free of passion and ignorance, but you don't deserve to remain here because you are infected by passion and ignorance. So what's happening? What are they trying to say? Are four Kumaras trying to say that there is passion and ignorance in Vaikuntha? Maya and Vaikuntha? No, of course. Four Kumaras are themselves Mahajanas. If you remember, there are 12 Mahajanas. Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapilo, Manu. They are expert in philosophy. In fact, four Kumaras are the initiators of Nimbark Sampradaya. So they know everything inside out. So then what they're trying to say? They are trying to tell, they're trying to put across a point that free will is always there of living entities, and we can always misuse that free. That's the whole point there. That is the only point. This is the whole pastime. This Jai Vijay, of course, they are the servants of Lord, and we understand by commentaries of Acharyas that this is the whole pastime. This is why, because the Lord wanted to fight, and the Lord arranged this cursing, and the Lord arranged that the two doorkeepers should stop these four naked children. First of all, these two doorkeepers, I mean to say, they were not foolish people, isn't it? If four naked children are coming to Vaikuntha, they should not be an ordinary naked children. Definitely, how can you come to Vaikuntha? Just any fool can enter Vaikuntha. It's impossible. The fact they are trying to enter Vaikuntha, that means they should be great devotees. So this is all pastime of Lord, that they acted such like that, and four Kumaras cursed this Jai Vijay. But through this pastime, the Lord wants to give us a message. And the first message is, Maya is very strong. The first message is, Even if Jai Vijay can misuse their free will, then what to talk about us? If Jai Vijay can misuse their free will, of course, it's a pastime, but they're trying to teach us. If they can misuse their free will, then what about us who are actually staying in material world? That's the idea there. The idea is a warning, a caution. Be careful. Even in Vaikuntha, even when you are near Lord, even when you are directly associating with Lord, still you have to be careful. That's the whole idea by this whole pastime. And we see in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime, Kala Krishna Das, who was servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he actually, yeah, he was associate of Mahaprabhu, but he fell into Maya, he misused his free will. And also Balbhadrah Bhattacharya, who was another servant of Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he went to Vrindavan, Balbhadrah Bhattacharya, he was confused. He came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, last night I saw Krishna in the lake, and all the Brajvasis went and they saw Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu slapped him and he said, well, you fool, you don't know that it's a particular time of avatar of Lord Krishna, and Krishna takes avatar, and Krishna takes avatar at particular time. That time is mentioned in scriptures. What are you doing? Balbhadrah Bhattacharya he was a very nice devotee. He was very innocent, and except said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he was very, very sober person. That's why Nityananda Prabhu put him in as a servant of Mahaprabhu. But he became confused. Lord Krishna is sitting in front of him as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he said, "Oh, actually, I had darshan of Lord Krishna." That was like a crazy thing. So by these two pastimes, Mahaprabhu showed Kala Krishna South India trip, Balbhadracharya North India trip. Both were confused. Even if we are in association of Lord, we can fall into illusion. If Jai Vijay can fall into illusion in spiritual world, although in spiritual world there is no Maya, but they fell into illusion as a part of a pastime, then what to speak of us who are in material world, who are in the word of Maya, word of illusion. We are not in Vaikuntha. We are never safe. That's the whole idea. We are never safe, and we should never try to think that we are safe in this material world. Anybody, Prabhupada says, anybody who thinks they are safe in this material world, or anybody who thinks I'm doing devotion, so that's why I am safe in material world, or anybody thinks I'm doing devotion and I'm almost near love of God, or I have attained love of God, and that's why I'm safe in this material world, he's fool. Because even if you have attained love of God, still you are unsafe. Why? Because you can see the pastime of Jai Vijay, who were not only having love of God, they were right there in spiritual world, in direct service of God, and they actually fell down from spiritual world. They were affected by illusion. How they were affected by illusion? Without Maya being present in spiritual world, that was a desire of Lord. By desire of Lord, they fell into illusion. So, but the fact remains that, well, they fell into illusion. In spiritual world, if you can fall into illusion, then here, when you are in the world of illusion, then definitely, who can save us? So Srila Prabhupada also says, Prabhupada says, until unless you are liberated from this material world, we should always be careful. Prabhupada says in Rishabdev, that incidents in Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada tells about Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami escaped from this material world. So we should not be so much confident. Devotees are never confident that they are safe in this material world. That is why, but they have confidence on Krishna that he can save us in this material world from illusory power, from Maya. And that's why they always keep praying to Krishna. Humbly they keep on supplicating to Krishna. Humbly they keep on requesting Krishna to please safeguard their devotion. And a whole Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition is actually whole Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition is actually Dhanamai prayers and some Prathanamika prayers, all these prayers, if you read, all pure devotees are considering themselves very, very humble. Srila Prabhupada says, if you want to, if if you want to uh, feel humility, if you want to realize humility, then you have to remember two things. One is Krishna and one is Maya. As soon as we forget Maya, we will forget humbleness. That's the whole point there. So Rajotabhyam Rahite Pad Mole Madhudusha. Kumara says, well, you're unfit to live at the shelter of Madhudusha's lotus feet. Now what is Madhudusha? So just give me a minute. Just a minute. Okay. So Madhudusha is one of the Lord, and Madhudusha has actually many meanings. Madhu means Madhu. Here Madhudusha means Madhu means demon, and Dusha means the slayer of Madhu demon. So why they're using this name? They're using this name because anybody who takes shelter of Krishna, truly they are sheltered to Krishna, they will not have any demoniac tendencies in their mind. That's what they're trying to indicate. They will not have, and the greatest demoniac tendency is not actually anger, is not greed, it is not lust. The greatest and the foundational demoniac desire, where all demoniac desires arise, is misuse of a faith. And that's what they are saying. Well, you are trying to do something which is not the will of Lord. You're trying to stop devotees from meeting Lord. That's what Jai Vijay are trying to do. Jai Vijay are trying to stop four Kumaras from meeting Krishna, from meeting Vishnu. And that's not the will of Lord. The will of Lord is that devotees and God meet. And that's why they said, well, you are misusing your free will. You are not in line with the will of Vishnu. And that's why we curse you. That was the problem in Jai Vijay with Sanat Kumaras diagnosed. At least when you see pastimes externally. So papishtam asuram yoniyam, and because of this you have to go into a species which is papishta, which is sinful, asuram, which is asur yoni, and that's why we curse you to fall down from spiritual world. Now, this is another interesting point here. And the next word comes, evam shaptau swabhavanat patantau tau kripalubhi. They say, well, patantau tau kripalubhi. Well, when they were falling down, as while Jai Vijay thus caused passages of falling to the material world. Now, this means that you can fall down from spiritual world. Now, this is a very debatable topic. Many people will say you cannot, many people will say you can. But Prabhupada quotes this verse in one of his letter. Verse means Prabhupada quotes this incident. Some devotees asked, can we fall down from spiritual world? Prabhupada said, well, Jai Vijay fell down. And this is a verse indicating that as they were falling to the material world from spiritual world. So, well, you can fall down from spiritual world. People can argue and counter argue, but we have this verse right here from Bhagavatam that we can. Jai Vijay were falling from material, from spiritual, from Vaikuntha to material world. Although you can say, oh well, this is a pastime of the Lord, and well, nobody actually falls down from spiritual world. But whether it's a pastime or whether it's not a pastime, the idea of any pastime, I mean to say, if it's a pastime of the Lord, idea of any pastime is to teach us something, isn't it? Otherwise, why this pastime will happen? Why Krishna will actually enact a pastime? Of course, Krishna enacts a pastime for his own pleasure, but simultaneously, every pastime have something to teach us. It's both ways, and that is why Prabhupada said, "Well, Jai Vijay fell down from Vaikuntha, so we can fall down from Vaikuntha." Prabhupada quotes this. And that is why it is said, when they were falling down to the material world, They were addressed as follows by the same sages, very kind to them. Proktau punar janma bhirvam tribhir lokaya kalpatam. Three births you will, after 3 births, you will again come back to the spiritual world. That's what these Kumaras said. So 3 births you have to be in demoniac species, and then you can come back. They blessed them. So you see, such a big punishment. You can see such a big punishment for actually working against the will of Lord, for stopping devotees to meet the Lord, and for no reason, for without explaining any reason, they had to suffer such a big punishment. And the punishment was they have to be in material world. They have to take birth in material, not just an ordinary birth, but as a demon. Why they have to take birth as a demon? Because the job of demons is to stop God from meeting his devotees. That's the job of demons. The job of demons is to kill devotees, is to kill God, and to stop the meeting of devotees and God. And that's why they said, well, you're doing this now here. So you go in material world and you do this, the same thing. So if you want to do this kind of activity, it is fit that you become demon. And in that form, in material world, you can fulfill your desire of stopping devotees from meeting the Lord and actually hurting devotees and hurting God. And that's what they were cursed for. So it's I mean to say, it's a very heavy punishment. Very heavy punishment, if you really think about it. So yeah, it's a really heavy punishment. Sproktau punarjanma bhirvam tribhir lokaya kalpatam. How can anybody, I mean to say, we as devotees, we are doing so many activities which is not pleasing to Krishna, which is not pleasing to devotees, which we are continuously hurting devotees and hurting Krishna, consciously, unconsciously. What kind of punishment we should get? We can imagine. Bhagavatam is always trying to caution us, always trying to warn us through these pastimes. Bhagavatam is always trying to warn us and caution us that never be overconfident when you are performing devotion. Always be humble. And Krishna himself. So it is not that Krishna will, for such a minor punishment, minor mistake, they got such a big punishment. Then you might think, oh, what will happen to us? We are doing so many offenses. What will happen to us? We'll never attain Krishna. Well, these are all pastimes which are there, which are there. So like for example, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chota Haridas is there, and Chota Haridas did a very minor mistake. I mean to say, you can't just. It was not a gross fall down. Chota Haridas went to who was that Mahiti, Chiki Mahiti's sister. He saw for a moment with some lust in his eyes. Well, later he came back, and I mean to say, he might have regretted in his mind something he might have done. But Mahaprabhu could understand that he saw Chiki Mahiti's sister for a moment with lusty eyes, and he rejected him to the point that he had to do suicide. So that's the case with Chota Haridas. Then what about us? You can imagine. I mean, somebody can think, what about us? We are always seeing Matajis and females with lusty eyes, or females to males with lusty eyes. Then what will happen to us? Mahaprabhu will never accept us. Although it's Namo Mahabhadanya. Bhakti San Thakur writes in the purport, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not fanatic. He's not fanatic. Chota Haridas' pastime was to warn devotees to take care. Sometimes when you warn somebody, you have to give an extreme example, and you have to form an extreme example so that other people, out of fear, they don't even think of committing the same mistake. And that is why Mahaprabhu made an extreme example of Chota Haridas. That is why Bhagavatam quotes an extreme example of Jai Vijay, an extreme example which we cannot even think, an example of falling down from spiritual herd. an example of being affected by illusion in spiritual world, an example of such an heavy punishment of committing such a small mistake. So it's a very extreme example. Vishnu could have come and just corrected them or counseled them, okay, you should not do like that. But Bhagavatam gives quotes an extreme example. These are the external teachings of this pastime. Internal teachings are something else. Internal teachings are that Krishna wanted to fight, and that's why he created all this drama. But external teachings, Prabhupada gives external teachings is that we should be careful. We should be extra careful in this material world. If not, I mean to say, Bhagavatam never says we should be careful. Bhagavatam says we should be extra careful. Srila Prabhupada always said, always be fearful of illusion. Prabhupada always said, I have just one complaint from my devotees, that they are not fearful of Maya. And that is why Krishna says to Uddhav in 11th canto, if you want to attain me, always remember me and always remember Maya in form of death. So Krishna says, okay, in one eye is Krishna, in one eye is death. Death is a result of illusion. The death of body, the death of soul, which is a function of Maya. So this is another teaching from this whole past. This Jai Vijay pastime is very, very important, and that is why it is described in such a detail in 7th canto. Of all the teachings of this whole pastime of Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksh, Jai Vijay, one central teaching I told you when we were discussing 7th canto. One central teaching is God is never partial. That was there. But then there are many other teachings which 7th canto carries with itself. And that is why Jiva Goswami dedicated a whole Sandarbha on 7th canto. That is Paramatma Sandarbha. Whole book is, another book is dedicated to the 7th canto to explain actually what's happening here. Because it's very bewildering when you read all these verses. And there's so many questions will come in your mind. And if it's not properly solved, we will be engaged in so many controversies and so many doubts. Well, there can be so many controversies, so many doubts. Of course, this is Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is for Paramahamsas, we all know. It's a Paramahams Shastram. So, of course, this Bhagavatam has to be read through the eyes of Acharyas, but still, because our mind and intelligence are too small, that even with commentaries of Acharyas becomes confusing. And that is why a whole book is dedicated by Jiva Goswami. Many commentators, when they comment on these sections, they have given long commentaries on these sections because they are very bewildering sections. Vaikuntha, Maya, illusion, falling down from spiritual world. These are very big questions. But fine, all those controversies aside, let us take some teachings which is helpful for us. That's what Prabhupada focused on this pastime when he read this pastime. And he said, well, if you want to really get help from reading these pastimes, well, the whole point is be careful of Maya. The whole point is be alert of be alert when you use your free will. The free will is in our hand. We can use it in any way. That is what living entities make. But that is what makes us living entity. Be very alert of using your free will. Because if you misuse your free will, then automatically, instantly, we are transported to material. At least in our mind. You can stay in Vrindavan. You can stay in Dham. You can stay in spiritual world. But it's up to you how to use your free will. It's up to you. If we use our free will in a wrong way, then we are decontacted with Krishna. But if we use our free will in consonance with the will of God, then wherever we are, even if we are in material world, we are actually near Krishna. That's what is our philosophy, isn't it? Jivan mukta sauchyate. So what's that verse? What's that verse? No, Jivan mukta sauchyate karmana manasa vacham. I'm just my mind. What's that? Jivan mukta sauchyate. Anybody? Yasya Hare Dasya Karmana Manasa Girim nikhilapi avasthasau jivan mukta sauchyate. That's what the point is. If by mind, words, karmana, manasa, girim, and activities, you're always in line with the will of God. If by actions you are doing what God desires, by words you are speaking what God desires, and by mind you're thinking uh, how to fulfill the will of Lord, then you are liberated even in this material world. That's this verse speaks about. You are near God. And that's the whole philosophy. This whole pastime is actually helping us to understand many points. And one of the very central point is we can get in touch with God. We can get in touch with God right here and now if we focus on the will of God and we defocus from our own will. That's what we have to practice. That is, by the way, Krishna consciousness. Try to focus on the will of the desire of God and try to defocus from your own desires and own will. Also, what devotees do, devotees try to actually fulfill the desire of God according to their own desire. That's also a big trap. Fulfill the will of God according to your own will. That's not the point. The point is you have to fulfill the desire of God according to His desire and not your desire. That's the whole point. Krishna can ask you to actually, for example, Krishna can ask you to do some work and you can actually accomplish that work. But if that work is accomplished in your own way and not in the way how Krishna wants, then that is not devotion. So devotion has these two components. We have to first understand the will of God by reading scriptures, by associating with devotees. And the next is we have to fulfill that will of God in the way how He wants. And for that, you have to get trained under a spiritual master. And that is why it is said, Shabde Parecha Nishnatam. Nishnatam is expert. You have to become expert in devotion. How do you become expert in devotion? Shabde. By the words, by understanding the words of scriptures. Words of scriptures means, so what do we learn from the words of scriptures? We learn the will of God. What does God want? Okay, fine. So we read Bhagavatam, Gita, Krishna wants Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhakta Prechati. He wants us to offer Him water, leaf, flower, fine. But the next thing is how to offer that flower and leaf. That's the whole point. What's the process? For that pare, for that you need a spiritual master, an acharya, a live person who can train you how to do that. That cannot be written in books completely. You need a person to train you, to show you how to do that. That's why guru and sadhu comes in picture. So both things are there. Any lapse in any of these two departments will actually take us away from God and make us guilty and be punishable in the eyes of God. That's the whole point these pastimes are talking about. And then what happens is 40th verse is these two associates of Lord, Jagyate tau dite putrau daite dhanava vanditau. They fell down from spiritual world and they were born as demons. Hiranyakashipu Jeshto, Hiranyaksho, Anujas Tataha. They became Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyakash Javije. Hiranyakashipu was the elder, Hiranyaksh was the younger one. Now you might say, well, Hiranyaksh was the elder brother, Hiranyakashipu was the younger, but here it's written the opposite. Well, that's what Prabhupada explains. In further, I think Bhagavatam or somewhere, it is explained. Hiranyakashipu was elder because he was conceived in the womb before Hiranyaksh. But Hiranyakashipu was, some scripture says Hiranyakashipu was younger because he was born later. First Hiranyaksh was born and then Hiranyakashipu was born, as far as birth is concerned. And that is why, according to the calculations of the birth, Hiranyaksh was elder because he appeared in this material world before Hiranyakashipu. But from the perspective of conception, Hiranyakashipu was elder because in the womb, Hiranyakashipu was conceived first and then Hiranyaksh was conceived. So that's how scriptures speak both. Some scripture says Hiranyakashipu was elder. Some scripture says Hiranyakashipu was younger. So don't get confused. That's how we harmonize all these things. So you see, scriptures are also confusing. Scriptures are very if we don't have, I don't know why they want to confuse us. That's another question. Why authors? Because you see if you read Garg Samhita and if you read Bhagavatam, you'll get super confused because there's so many. Garg Muni is saying something, Sukdev Goswami is saying something else, and Jiva Goswami handles all these confusions in his Gopal Champu, and he says, well, before handling, and that's why Prabhupada says, don't read so many books, although they are all scriptures, but because our minds are too small, we will not be able to harmonize, and then whole life we'll be solving this question. Whole life we'll be solving this question: who is elder, Hiranyakashipu or Hiranyaksh? And we'll waste our life. That's going to happen. So if you want to read other Puranas, Garg Samhita, for example, this Garg Samhita, another book is there where Srimati Radharani is mentioned a lot, Brahmavaivarta Puran. If you read Brahmavaivarta Puran, there are so many descriptions of Radha and gopis and Tulasi, but there's so many descriptions which are very contrary to teachings of Bhagavatam, very much contrary. You can read, but then you should know how to harmonize. But without Acharya's insight, we'll not be able to harmonize. So that's why we are not really expert in reading Bhagavatam, in understanding philosophy, and we have not read properly Acharya's books. It is very dangerous to read all these Puranas. Devotees read Puranas, Gita Press and all these. They're not wrong, but at our stage, we might get confused. And then we'll be like, okay, fine. So whole life we'll be solving this question. Do we fall down from Vaikuntha or not? Okay, fine. Big controversy, big books, and whole life you spoil your life. Or maybe this question, who is elder, who is younger? People ask so many questions to me, and you can just keep on discussing. But so that's the point. Either you should have ability to harmonize, or even if you can't harmonize, you should have the ability to extract the message which is applicable to your devotional life. That's what the point is. The point is this whole controversy, whether we fall down from Vaikuntha or not. There are arguments, anti-arguments, we can quote this or not. But the point is, we have to understand, well, okay, you can fall down or not fall down, but the whole teaching is, well, be careful that we don't fall down. It's the whole teaching. That's the whole teaching of this. We are not trying to solve the controversy. We are trying to learn from that controversy. Well, okay, fine. If it's such a big question of, if such a big controversy, whether we fall down or not fall down, that means fall down in itself is a big phenomenon, and we should be very careful that we should not fall down and do devotion nicely. That's the whole practical take from everything. So you see anyway. So I'll just mention in footnotes here. There is something called as definition, and there is something called as working definition in science. You have to understand. So, for example, life. If you ask any scientist to define life, nobody can define life. It's impossible. There are books and books and books and books written about life. But yet, there are definitions of life which are working definitions. Working definitions means you can't define life, but you can make some definition by which you can identify life. You see, identify life, but you can't define life in itself, but we can identify life by that definition. You can say life is what? Which grows, metabolizes, reproduces, blah, 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 blah. Okay, on whole, by this we can identify. So there's working definition and there is real definition. Some phenomena cannot be defined. You see, just like love of God. How do you define love of God? If you ask us to define love of God as it is, nobody can define love of God. It is beyond definition, isn't it? Love of God cannot be defined. Love of God can be experienced. Love of God can be realized. But nevertheless, we need a definition of love to actually talk about love, isn't it? Otherwise, how can we talk about love? So Rupa Goswami gives a definition of love, and that is called as working definition. That is not called as intrinsic, real definition, because many scriptures says love cannot be defined. Love is beyond achinte. Love is beyond words. All traditions who talk about love, they say love is beyond words. But then Rupa Goswami gives us a definition. So what? That's a working definition by which you can identify love. You can identify, but you cannot pinpoint it. That's the whole point. You can identify life, but you cannot pinpoint that this is life. That is impossible. So that is why all these big questions and controversies, well, we are not here to solve controversies. We are here to take practical insights and practical help from those controversies, from these big questions, to actually safeguard our bhakti. That's the whole point there. These few verses are very complex verses. I mean to say, that's why I told the whole book is dedicated to these verses. 41st, it's written, appearing as Narsimhadev, Hato Hiranyakashipu Harina Singha Rupina. Krishna came as Narsingh Bhagavan to kill Hiranyakashipu, and Shaukaram Bapu, he came as Varhadev to kill Hiranyaksha. We all know this, these two pastimes, great details. 43rd, he says, desiring Hiranyakashipu Putram Praladam Keshava Priyam. Hiranyakashipu's whole pastime was what? Hiranyakashipu was trying to actually kill Prahlad, who was dear to Krishna. And you see, if you really think about it, Kumaras actually cursed Jai Vijay to become demons. Why? Because they were doing the same thing in Vaikuntha, according to them. They were trying to stop devotees to meet Vishnu, and they were trying to hurt them. And that's what they are doing the same thing as Hiranyakashipu. They're trying to hurt Prahlad. The same thing. It's extension of that. So that's the whole point. Any slight desire you have in your heart, Krishna will give full facility to actually fulfill that desire. So Jai Vijay had that, according to Kumaras, Jai Vijay had that slight fault and error in their heart. And Kumara said, well, okay, fine, we'll give you full facility in form of a curse. You fulfill your desire, and now you stop devotees and torture them and stop them from doing devotion to Krishna. So you go there. That's another great teaching. The teaching is, so in science it is called as chaos. If you read, you go on web and you type chaos. Chaos is a scientific phenomena which says that even a small error in any equation can, if left like that, even a 0.0001 error, if left like that, with time it will become infinite. That's small error, and that's what chaos says, and the whole phenomena will appear as chaos. So one of the scientists, he put it like this. So somebody asked, what's chaos? Chaos means a butterfly is flapping its wing in Japan, and because of that flapping the wings of butterfly, there is a hurricane and tsunami in America. That's chaos, by the way. A small error can make a big impact, destructive impact. And that's the whole point there. Even a small error in a heart can bring big impacts in our life if we don't correct it with time. With time, it can take us on a ride, and that's why you see, we as devotees, okay, we are new, we all are new. I mean, 20, 30 years WhatsApp, it's all new. We're all a new devotees, and we are trying to do something. We are trying to do devotion. That's why it is said you have to really look into your heart and correct these small errors. Generally, we focus on big errors, isn't it? Big faults, gross faults. But those things are not dangerous because you can see them and you can safeguard yourself. But small errors which you can't see, those are more dangerous because you will not notice, and when they appear in front of you, then that will be chaos. That you will not be able to control anyway. You will fall down. That's why many devotees after 15, 20 years, they fall down. That's why many sannyasis fall down in all traditions. Why is that? So I mean, just nobody actually joins devotion to fall down, isn't it? So nobody says, okay, I'll join Krishna consciousness to fall down. Nobody does like that, isn't it? Everybody joins Krishna consciousness to go back to God and elevate. But nevertheless, they fall down after many years. Why is that? Because they never tried to identify their small errors, which can lead to chaos later. Chaos means out of control, isn't it? That's why the name chaos. So big errors you can control. Small errors you'll not be able to control after some time. It'll lead to chaos. That's the whole point here of this. Small error, you become demon. And they're doing a big thing. They are like torturing Prahlad. It is said, they said, desiring to kill son Prahlad. They are trying to, Hiranyakashipu tortured him in many ways. I mean to say, how can Jai Vijay in their dreams, even in the dreams, Jai Vijay couldn't have imagined of torturing devotees. Jai Vijay are devotees, isn't it? If you would have asked Jai Vijay, do you want to torture devotees? Jai Vijay would say, you're crazy. Do you get dreams of torturing devotees? Jai Vijay said, come on, you're mad. If you ask, so if I ask you, do you get dreams of torturing devotees? You'll say, what's this? Is you're crazy or what? Torturing devotees? That's madness. We can't dream, but nevertheless, they are doing this. They are not dreaming. They are doing this now. They are doing the same thing which they couldn't dream. That is the power of illusion. That's how Srila Prabhupada said, either you fall into illusion due to Maya, or you fall into illusion due to the desire of God. But nevertheless, that's the power of illusion. That is the power of illusion. So we can, the idea is, we can fall into such actions which we have not dreamed even in our life. Why? Because, I mean to say, you can say how it can happen in my life. Well, it can happen. That's chaos. Small things which you are neglecting, which you are saying, oh, this is nothing, this is okay, this is fine, this is fine. Okay. So sometimes I eat outside without offering. That's okay. It's practical. Well, those things are really important, Sometimes okay, sometimes fine. Then sometimes you can become demon, no problem. Sometimes okay, many times you become devotees. So yeah, we have to be really clear. Prabhupada was not like ordinary. Prabhupada was Charya, and he always said, be strict on rules and regulations, try to follow strictly. Why he was saying that? All these things, Bhagavatam are not stories, they're not like entertainment. They're trying to teach us something. 43rd, tam sarva bhuta atma bhutam prashantam samadarshanam bhagvat tejasa sprishtam na shaknot hantum udyam. This is about telling about Krishna. Tam sarva bhuta atma bhutam prashantam samadarshanam. Now the whole idea is, they're telling, okay, Hiranyakashipu was trying to torture Prahlad. And what was Vishnu doing at that time? That's the whole point. Okay, somebody is trying to torture devotees. What's God doing? He's not trying to save him. Where is God? We say, so many problems in this material. Where is God? So when Prahlad was being tortured, people might be asking, ordinary people, where is God? Prahlad is such a nice devotee. What is happening? He's being poisoned and this and this. So that question is handled here, 43rd verse. And Sukadeva Goswami is saying, Tam Sarva Atma Bhutam. Krishna is Bhuta Atma Bhutam. He is a super soul. Bhut Atma Bhutam. He is the Atma of Bhuta. Bhutam is living entities. He's the soul of all entities. He's Prashantam. Prashantam means he's peaceful, without any hate. The whole idea, he's not partial, he's impartial. Samadarshanam, he's equal to everyone. So he's equal to everyone, and that is why he's equal to Hiranyakashipu, he's equal to Prahlad. He doesn't hate Hiranyakashipu, he doesn't like Prahlad. He's trying to decide when to act in such a way that it is beneficial for both Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad. That is why there was a delay. The delay was not because he was partial to like he hated Hiranyakashipu. He actually was partial to Prahlad. So the idea is, then if he was partial to Prahlad, then he should have come immediately. He delayed it. He delayed it, everything. Why delayed? To actually show to people, I'm not partial. I'm not partial. I will come when the time comes. And so you might ask, what time? What time you are waiting for? The time when it is beneficial for Hiranyakashipu, for Prahlad, and for the entire world. That's the whole idea. Why Krishna delayed? Why Krishna allowed Hiranyakashipu to torture Prahlad? To show the power of holy name. That's what Jiva Goswami says. That by the power of holy name, anybody is chanting holy name in full trance, with full focus, nothing can happen to him. The power of devotion. That's why he delayed. So this will benefit the entire world. This will show the glories of holy name. And And when so when the time comes when Hiranyakashipu tortures Prahlad so much, he tortures him, then Krishna will have to come to save his devotees. Otherwise, otherwise you see, if so if you slap some devotee and Krishna appears and he says, "Hey, why you are slapping?" It'll be funny, Then even every small incident Krishna comes, it's like foolishness, So for Krishna to come, he needs a big opponent. Otherwise, he doesn't come. It's like a besti, It's like a disgrace. So some commissioner comes in your city. Why you're here? Because that kid slapped that kid, so that's why I'm here. Commissioner, you're a fool. It's a small thing. You could have sent some police. So that's why he delayed. So that Hiranyakashipu, everybody knows Hiranyakashipu is uncontrollable. He's a great demon, and I need to come to kill him. So that's why it was beneficial for Hiranyakashipu in that sense. He came and he actually destroyed all his sins by his touch, and it was beneficial for Prahlad also. Prahlad, by his delay, Prahlad's desire to see Krishna increased day by day. So Krishna is not partial. Krishna is not impartial also. Krishna is beyond partiality and impartiality. That's what Jiva Goswami. This all terms are mundane, partiality and impartiality. It's all mundane. You can say he's impartial, but Vishnu Thakur says no. Actually, that's not also the point. He's beyond partiality and impartiality. He in his mind, he does actions in such a way that sarva kalyanaika gunam. It's always beneficial to everybody, to demons, to devotees, to ordinary people, to the entire material world. That's what he's acting like. Bhagavat Tejasa. Sprishtam. So that's why it says Prahlad was protected by Bhagavat Tejasa, by the potency of the Lord. Sprishtam na ashakno. Na shakno. Sprishtam means Hiranyakashipu could not touch him. Sprishtam, touch. Na shakno, he could not touch. In spite. Ashakno means spite. Hiranyakashipu put a lot of efforts. Shakno means efforts. He put a lot of efforts to harm him, but he was not able to harm him. Dhantum Udyama. Hantum Udyama. He was trying to kill him, not just harm him. Udyama means great attempts by various weapons on this and that, but nothing happened because Prahlad was a great devotee. So that's how this whole section is there. At least my understanding is like that of this section. And this is like quite complex. This is very complex section if you really talk about it. But anyway, that's how it goes. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anybody wants to ask anything?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Such a beautiful class, Prabhu. You said that it's very complex, but I think your class made it very clear, Prabhu. So many beautiful points. Certainly, Prabhu, I love your points. More Shastras we read, more we get bewildered with our small, short lives in Kali Yuga. Bahushakasi Nantascha, Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita. And then, Prabhu, certainly you said eating outside. Sometime we can think, one time I can eat sour, nothing happened. But then Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Vishayara khaila malin hove man, malin man nahi hove Krishna Sankirtan. So we forget that. And Prabhu, your point is so beautiful. These pastimes are just there to teach us not to use our misfrill, use our, free will. And Prabhu, you give the example of that Chota Haridas pastime. So beautiful, Prabhu. It's extreme, but it's to teach us in Kali Yuga what to do and what not to do, Prabhuji. And Prabhu, another point that I loved was our only hope is Krishna. As devotees, what we think is our only hope is Krishna. And I was remembering the bhajan of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Eka kiya maar nahi paya bal, Hari Naam Sankirtane. And what to speak about us, Prabhu. So all these beautiful examples, Prabhu. And thanks for your recent video on cricket, Prabhu. That's another example for devotees that
you got it, huh?
where we waste time and where we should actually put our time to read Srila Prabhupada books or our scriptures. So beautiful class, Prabhuji. So beautiful class. Just lovely class. That was a sixer, Prabhu, I can say. Talking of cricket.
Okay.
Prabhuji, there is our very dear Prahlad and Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Danva Pranam.
Dhanvat Pranam,
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
it's
Thank you
always
very
there.
much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I have a small question. That's another controversy, but I just wanted. Yeah, Bhagavatam doesn't talk about proper chronology. I understand that, incidents happen because
Yeah.
Jai Vijay is also mentioned in Vaman Dev's episode also.
Yeah.
Then so I was wondering whether this was before or after this whole episode happened.
That we can't say. There is no
Yeah,
chronology. We
that's
have
that's
no
what I
idea.
was thinking. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so that was just another. I don't want to waste time on that. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Palame Prabhu. Certainly, yes, as Prabhu said in the class, more scriptures we read, more we get bewildered because every scripture has a little different detail. And then with our short life, especially in Kali Yuga, and with our mindset, we won't be able to understand. Thank you, Prabhu, for being with us, Palame Prabhuji. Our Jyoti Mataji has a question too. Hare Krishna, Jyoti Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dhanvat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Dhanvat Pranam, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question to you is, you said the minute details will be taken care. So we hear that the holy name is so powerful. The holy name itself is a Krishna, but we, as per my understanding, I'm not near also to understand that the name itself is Krishna. So the sins and the offenses that are taken care. So how we can understand that the holy name can't protect us and forgive for the minute mistakes that we will do, because we are not alert to, and we'll go mad if we are vigilant to everything. So
No, we'll
that
not
is
go mad. I mean to say, do you know how to drive a car?
yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so when you drive a car, you have to by one leg you have to press clutch, sometime accelerator, clutch, and brake, and then both legs you have to use, and hands you are using to change gears, and then hold this steering, and so many things, but we are able to do nicely after we get trained. Then we don't even have to think where our hand are, where our legs are. We are like we can even see a movie while driving. We don't have to really think about it. So it's all training. Prabhupada, somebody asked Prabhupada, what's Krishna conscious? Prabhupada said one time he said it's training. So once you get trained, it's super easy. Like I mean to say, all these sports you see, gymnastics sports, you might say, oh my God, it's such complex. He's like flying in air and this and that. And, how they are doing it, superhuman. It's not superhuman. I got trained. So we need training, but of course, it takes time to get trained. That's the whole point. It takes time. It takes 10, 15, 20, 25 years under proper guidance. Once you get trained, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur gives an example of a guitar, or sitar. Sitar has so many, chords. It's so difficult to play the sitar. If you give a novice, he will not be able to harmonize any chord. There's so many chords, what to play, when to play, how to take out music. It's bizarre. Once you get trained, your fingers are moving like, flash of lightning, and there's such a nice music coming on. You might say, what's happening? I got trained. So if you get trained, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, once you get trained, all the chords of devotion will play together harmoniously, and there'll be music of love of God. But for that, you need training. So you need training to be vigilant. Once you get trained, it's very easy to be vigilant 24 hours. And then you can correct your small things. You can take measures to actually stop yourself. You don't need anybody else to stop yourself. You will know how to stop yourself, and be careful and go ahead in devotion. So wait for some time. You need patience also.
So Prabhuji, is my understanding correct? Please correct me. That when we chant, our consciousness will get purified. So as the consciousness get purified, we are able to penetrate.
Yeah. True.
And
Dadami buddhi apanta. Yeah, Krishna
so
will give
we will be
intelligence
able
to see.
to understand what anarthas are coming, what we are performing, where we are going wrong, and what others are. So the communication that we do is not on the basis of response and reaction. This is what it will be leading ahead.
I don't know what you're saying, but the point is, if we chant holy name nicely and hear properly, then we are able to understand all these subtle things in devotion. And that's the whole idea.
Prabhuji, when is the stage when we understand that the holy name is Krishna?
Well, takes so many years. It takes years after years.
No, like
When
bhava,
means no.
that
When
stage.
means no. No. It's not like that stage. At least we have to cross the stage of anarth nivriti.
Okay, Prabhuji, eternally grateful to you
Before that,
for your
Rupa Goswami
patience.
says, before Nishtha, it's a night. We are still in night. He compares Shraddha, Anarth Nivriti, Bhajan Kriya. It's like night. Night, you can't see anything. The first, not the first rays of sun, the first glow, like you see, that is Nishtha. Their small glow in the morning will come, some redness, that's Nishtha. Little bit. So that's that when we can then we can see, okay, Krishna and his name is same. And then Bhava stage is the first ray of sun, the first Suryam Shu Surya Bhag. And that time, in the morning, first ray of sun, everything is clear. And Prema is full sun. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Grateful to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for asking that question. Thank you, Prabhu. Beautiful answer. You said practice. I still remember when I was looking, devotees blowing the conch shell. I was always thinking that's so easy. And when my first day I was doing Srila Prabhupada's Aarti, and had to blow conch shell. I didn't have practice. It took me 3-4 days just to practice conch shell. Just to practice conch shell, it took me 3-4 days. They were giving me conch shell every day in Mandir in ISKCON here in Calgary. And they say, Balabhadra Prabhu, you try. So, everything takes practice. And then, you get used to it. And then same as the Krishna name. Same as the Krishna name, Prabhu. So true, Prabhuji. So true. Very beautiful. Thank you, Prabhuji, for being with us. Dear devotees, if anybody has any more questions or comments, please go ahead. It was a very, very, very easily, Prabhuji, you explained in the class what is this about and what we should take the shelter of, which is holy name only. So I don't see, Prabhuji, any hands raised.
Okay, then we'll just end up here.
Dear devotees, let us pay our obeisances to Prabhuji and all the assembled devotees. Ho gaya, Prabhuji, ho gaya. Vancha
kalpatarubhyam kripasinubhyo namo pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai. His Grace Keshavanand Prabhuji ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Wonderful class. Nah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Gauranga. Nityananda. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Puja Mataji. Thank you, Shamagori Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Jananda Prabhu. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hari Bol.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Karthik is starting soon, dear devotees. So our Lalla will run and Yashodama is gonna get him. Hari Bol. Wow. Everybody have a happy Karthik, happy Japa time. Thank you.
Lamp offering.
Hari Bol. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.